the low energy density foods, and the way that they detoxify the body, they alkalize the fluids of the body, and when the lymph would, so I'll quickly go over the two main fluids of the body, which is the blood, which everybody knows about. It's 25% of the interstitial fluid, and interstitial fluid is a fluid that runs around our cells. And the other fluid that makes up 3/4 of our interstitial fluid is the lymphatic fluid. And that's like our immune system. That's like our body's defense. It's the police. It's the government. It really is a very important system that is not talked about a whole lot. And it's really the most important system that we should be looking at, because if we're not doing everything that we can to keep it fluid and working properly, we're going to have a buildup of toxic waste, because we have 100 trillion cells in our bodies. Every single one of those cells is like a little person. It's like one of us. And we eat and we eliminate. So we have waste, and that's why we have toilets, and that's why we have sewage. We have plumbing that takes it away and out of our house and out of our lives. And so that's kind of why we had plagues and all those terrible diseases and sicknesses way back when, before they realized that sanitation was so important. And once they got, garbage systems going and all that, then those things start going away. And so it's the exact same thing within the body. If we have a clogged up lymphatic system, we're going to be getting sick. There's going to be viruses. It's going to be just a perfect medium for bacteria and all those little, critters that we don't want in our bodies. And so keeping the lymph clean, and that's the way that you do that, is by keeping it alkaline. And the same with the blood. You want the body does everything it can to keep the blood at about a 7.4 pH. And the pH system, or pH scale, goes from 0 to 14. And so the farther down you get towards 0, the more acidic it gets. And acids burn, as we all know. Acid, it's very hot, it's very irritating, and it's corrosive. And so we want to be eating foods that don't do that to us. So when we eat a food, we want it to be alkaline forming. Alkaline is base. It's anti-inflammatory, it is cooling, and it's healing. And so all fruits and vegetables, for the most part, are going to be alkaline forming foods. And the way that they determine that is when you eat a food, after it goes through our digestion, it leaves an ash. And if that ash is full of material that is acidic, then it's an acid forming food. And likewise, if you eat a fruit or vegetable, it's going to leave an alkaline ash. And so, that is why it's just so important to eat the majority of our diets as, if not all raw, just plant foods. As many plant foods as we can get in, the better. And I don't remember if I said what I was making here. I'm making the cucumber tomato hemp salad. And what I did was I peeled 2 cucumbers, and then I cut them pretty thinly, and then I like to cut them in quarters. And then I've got a couple pints of cherry tomatoes that I'm going to toss in there. And then we got our hemp seeds, and these are very good for omega-3s. I can get into the omegas, the fatty acids that we consume quick. So most of the fatty acids that people consume are omega-6, because that's in like all the vegetable oils, that's in processed foods, and all those junk things that we don't need. They are important. We do need omega-6, but we need a very different ratio than what we're getting in today's diet. We want more we want a ratio of about 1 to 1, or some say 1 to 4, but most people are getting 1 omega-3 to every 20 omega-6s or something like that. It's very unbalanced. So omega-3s are going to be in like your flax, your chia, your hemp seeds. Leafy greens are great sources of omega-3s. Arugula, which is going to be in the salad that we're going to be making, that's a good source of omega-3. But pretty much any of your dark leafy greens are going to be great for omega-3s. Even fruits have omega-3s. So the other great thing about eating this way is you really don't need to know any of this. You just need to eat the food and not worry so much about what's in it, because you know that it came from nature. You know that it's a natural food, and not just natural as in what they put on like a label, because there's no regulations against what natural means, so they can put that on anything, and they can just put all natural, and it's not. So just eat things that don't require a label is a good way to go about it. I'm actually not a big fan of using added salts. If you are going to use salts, I always recommend using like a pink salt, pink Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, something like that, but never like just table salt, because that's got a lot of additives in it. It's processed at a very high heat. It's got a lot of junk in there that's just not that healthy for us. And so what I did was I took lemon juice, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and then just a little pinch of sea salt. So I'm just going to put that in here.
So Matt, did you soak the hemp seeds now?
No, hemp seeds really don't need to be soaked. Yeah, they're one of the few that are okay if you don't.
They're super good with smoothies too.
Oh yeah, smoothie. Yeah, they make them nice and creamy. Yeah.
Are you organic then over just regular?
Yeah, I prefer organic, but if there are things that I can get only conventional that I don't have access to organically, I'll still get that. I think it's important to eat as few pesticides and all those things as possible, but I don't, if it comes down to not eating the food altogether, I think you just want to avoid it as much as you can. And leafy greens. Leafy greens are very, very important. They are the most nutrient-packed foods on the planet per calorie. And so the more leafy greens we can get in, the more regular we're going to be. Technically, if you're not eliminating as many times as you're eating, then you're slightly constipated. And almost everybody's constipated these days. When you start eating fresh fruits and vegetables, you start to get more regular, and that is huge, because it's kind of a taboo subject. People don't like to talk about, going number 2, but it's so important to health. It is very, very important, and if you're not eliminating, you're accumulating toxins. And there's something called auto-intoxication, which is the reabsorption of your waste products back into your bloodstream. And so that's the job of the colon. It's to reabsorb water. And if there's toxins sitting in your colon for some people go several days between bowel movements, and that's just sitting in there, and there's a lot of junk getting back into the body that's not good. So eat your greens. Got a couple videos here, and this talks about metabolism. A lot of people think that you want to have a fast metabolism, but think about any appliance you've got. You don't want it to be running really high all the time, right? You want it to be running very efficiently, very slow, and still getting the job done. And that's why it's important. It's the same concept for our bodies. We want them to be running as low as possible and still efficiently getting everything done that needs to happen.
Detoxify your mind and body. Be the change you want to see. Small steps towards living better. Small steps to where I want to be.